That is the Kuflay Monastery, a Moldovan Orthodox monastery built in 1858. And that is the old Moldovan National Hotel, abandoned and in a sorry state, as you can see. Hey there. And so this is Chisinau, capital of Moldova, and it is the end of my trip. I spent 5 days here at an apartment over there, about a block away. I started another video from that monastery and walked that way, but today I wanted to show a little bit different neighborhood. I'm headed to the airport very soon. I can catch a bus from right over there straight to the airport, so I wanted to do this video near here, and then I'll get out of here and go catch my flight. And so this neighborhood looks quite interesting, so I thought this would be a good spot to show a little bit different part of Chisinau here in the course of discussing some travel tips and things that I've learned about Moldova in the short time that I have been here, which was not enough time, and I knew that it wasn't going to be enough time when I booked the trip, but I had this other flight already booked, the one that I am catching tonight. I do want to come back and see more of Moldova because I didn't get very far outside of Chisinau here, other than doing a tour of the Cracova winery, which was really fascinating. But it is a complicated situation here, and a few days, of course, is not nearly enough time to get a good grasp of any country, but especially one that you knew basically nothing about to begin with. So in Moldova, they do not speak Moldovan. Even though some sources will say that. In my preliminary research before coming here, then I'd come across the Moldovan language. And I saw an article that said there was a debate about whether Moldovan was the same as Romanian. And so I thought that it was similar but different and had its own name. And so people quickly jumped in the comment section under my first videos explaining that that is not the case. They're the same language, and it is preferred to call it Romanian and not Moldovan. And so the history is just super complicated here, because the region of current Moldova has been a part of various different empires over the centuries. Most recently, it was part of the Soviet Union, and of course gained independence with the breakup of the U.S.S.R. But prior to that, it has been part of Romania, and at one time it was a separate region called Bessarabia, which included present-day Moldova and parts of Ukraine. And so this is actually the street that my apartment is on. I think it's actually that building right there. But I'll get back into these well, quieter streets, hopefully. And so in other words, if you want to learn some of the local language before coming to Moldova, then learn some Romanian. I've learned one word, which I'm sure that I'm not going to say right, and it is hello, which is Bonnichiwa, which sounds a whole lot like konnichiwa in Japanese. And so a general kind of assessment of traveling in Moldova is, I'm going to just kind of give it straight here and say that Moldova is probably not the place that you want to go for your week-long family vacation. If you want a just picturesque beach scene or tranquil lake in the mountains, maybe there is something like that in Moldova. I haven't explored more of the country, but you're going to fly into Chisinau here, and as I have shown in my previous videos, and as you've seen in this video, then Chisinau is in a rough state, at least a lot of parts of the city. So you're going to come into a city that is not a typical, you know, European capital that is all set up for tourism. However, I have enjoyed my time here. It is more or less what I expected coming in, and I am very intrigued to come back and see more, especially beyond Chisinau here. I've heard about various other places and sites, monasteries and caves. There's Transnistria, which, speaking of borders of countries that are a little hard to define, then Transnistria is over by Ukraine, and it is a disputed territory that Moldova here claims is part of Moldova. They claim independence. It has only been recognized as independent by 3 other states, all of which themselves are disputed territories, such as Abkhazia, which I forget where that one is, but it's over towards Georgia and Azerbaijan. But the UN considers Transnistria as still being part of Moldova. And if you try to go there, then as I understand it, you will be stopped at a border control, and you need to have your passport, and I think you need to have an address of somebody that you are claiming that you're going to visit. Maybe there's some ways around that or something, but that is what my friend Philip that I met here and was in my last video said, is that you have to be prepared to cross that border, and you can only stay for 24 hours in Transnistria. And so I would put Moldova in the category of places to visit for adventurous travelers, not a touristy spot. The least touristy country in Europe, as a matter of fact. And it is going to be kind of intense, but also engaging, and very unique country that is little known, and you will see somewhere that you aren't going to see anything like it elsewhere in the world. It has similarities certainly to some of the neighboring countries being part of the former U.S.S.R. It has the Russian influence heavily. Russian is spoken commonly here, but it is also a country with a very deep history and a lot of different influences. All of the different cultures that have passed through here and occupied this territory and all that. And I will say that my videos have not done the country true justice, because of course there is much more than just the capital city here, and people have said that really the best things to see are outside of the capital, the villages, the monasteries, the nature, and various other sites that are worth a visit. And I think it would be a fascinating place to spend a couple of weeks and really get out there and get into the small towns and see more of the culture beyond the capital. And that is what I wanted to do when I came here, but I had this limited time window of 5 days. And additionally, when you are a travel vlogger, then you aren't just traveling, you are creating videos at the same time. I'm posting these videos in real time, essentially within a day or 2 or 3 after I film them, and so that means that I have to do the editing while I'm traveling, and that is extremely time consuming. And so in my time here, then I spent a lot of my time editing both my previous videos before I got here and then the videos that I created while I was here. And so that's why 2 of my videos started in the evening and I just walked around and showed part of the city, is because I spent the whole day editing videos and then headed out late in the day just to try to capture something before the day was gone. And so that is something that changes your traveling experience and your time is when you're trying to document what you're seeing and put it out there for other people to see. And so a couple of other just quick travel tips here. They use the Moldovan lei as their currency. There are 17 lei in $1 US, 19 lei in €1. And from a Western perspective, it is very cheap. I had an epic apartment for $40 a night, and you can get much cheaper. I'm sure that many of you saw the Bald and Bankrupt videos, one of which he stayed at a hotel where the room was $4 a night. But your accommodation choices are going to be somewhat limited because it doesn't have the tourist infrastructure of other places in Europe. All right, I think this was a good choice walking down this street because it's not only a little bit quieter than the major streets, but also it has all these trees, and so it's been a nice shady walk because that sun is intense. It is middle of August here, and it is hot. And so you could easily travel around here on like $30 a day or so and have your own room. I tried some of the local food and it is tasty. They have their own unique dishes here. Transportation will be an issue. There are minivans that travel around, and probably they basically go on leave when they're full. And so it isn't going to be a reliable time thing of just show up and then the bus leaves. I looked at trains and buses going to Tiraspol, which is the biggest city in Transnistria, and there was only one of each, one train and one bus going direct early in the morning. And so other than that, then you would need to find the minibuses going there. And so you'll need to be a little bit flexible and patient trying to get around the country, unless you rent a car, which would really be the ideal way to go. But keep in mind that the driving is going to be intense. The rules are not necessarily followed. The roads are not the best. But I guess once you get out of the city here, then things will calm down and be less chaotic. As for flights, I found a flight from Nice, France, direct to Chisinau here. That was on Air Moldova. It was $230 US one way, so not exactly cheap, but it was the cheapest thing I found at the time. And then I have a flight tonight on U.S.S.R from here to Athens, Greece. Give a little hint. However, I'm not actually going to Greece. I'm going there to catch another flight somewhere else. So not really much of a hint. But I might be back to Greece later. And I forget how much that flight was now, but... All right, this is a nice spot to end the video. This beautiful church. And so, is Moldova worth visiting? Know what you're getting into, and it just depends on what you're interested in. And if you like to get off the tourist trail and see places that have not been already documented in pop culture, movies, and TV and everything, then yes, Moldova is a great place to visit and have an adventure and learn something about a part of the world that is basically completely unknown outside of this general area. Romanian, Russian. All right, next video coming from somewhere completely different. See ya. And so I'm out at the airport and got some good looking grub here. I guess traditional Moldovan food, and got a beer. It is called Hoppy Lager, and it is a very different taste. I've never tasted a beer quite like this. Not quite sure how to describe it, but definitely hoppy flavor and very kind of light and refreshing. And I think that is a local one there. And then I think this is kind of like scalloped potatoes, chicken, and some vegetables. And all of this was $1.85 Moldovan lei, which is $11, and that is the airport price. So good deal and looks delicious. And so that is it for Moldova. I definitely plan to come back sometime. So getting ready here for the next adventures.